All right, there we go. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our kickoff meeting for the Round 27 grantees. I'm Nikita Afaha. I'm the program manager for Affordable Learning Georgia, and my colleague there is our program director, Jeff Gallant. Many of you know him as well, and he will introduce himself in just a little bit. But before we get started, for our meeting today, I want to start the introductions off with a poll. So I'm going to launch a poll here, and the question is about, it's a word cloud poll where we want to find out what do you need to know for a successful grant project. We just want to do a pulse check and kind of see the things that are on your mind. So I'll go ahead and launch that. And just, it says something went wrong. Try again. So let's try it again. Let's relaunch the tab. Maybe that will help. And see if we can relaunch it. All right, so now, okay. So Jeff, I'm having a little trouble. If you could maybe click on the poll tab and see if you can launch the first poll.
Yeah, it's saying, okay, hold on, let me see here.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go. So everyone, the poll should have launched into your screen there. And what we want you to do is just type in your response of what do you need to know to have a successful grant project. And the poll will record an entire sentence or phrase, but it will only maybe pull one or two words. So for maximum effect, maybe just use one or two words, maybe 3 words maximum as a phrase to answer this question. And we'll just give you a few moments to do that. Great, seeing a few coming in. Budget issues and deeds. Dates, I would imagine that is referring to due dates. Clear outcomes, intellectual merit, timelines, the broader impact. Yes, we've seen these themes before in other kickoff meetings, so you are not alone if these are some of the concerns that you have. Indeed, please continue. We'll just do this for about 30 seconds more. Oh, so we have one who the poll isn't showing your screen. It should also be in the chat. And you will see something that says live, a live poll in the chat.
Yeah, Anastasia, you might be on the web version if that's the case, but it should still pop up in the chat right above where you just responded.
Indeed. And if you aren't able to respond, please just raise your hand and we will unmute you so that you can just contribute verbally as well. Or you can put your item in the chat. You're welcome to do that as well. This is just an open conversation at the moment where we just want to kind of get an idea, a pulse check of the kinds of things that are on your mind. And it looks like even our word cloud is not even capturing everybody's response. We've got 54 responses. You are able to hover over the names of some of the things already there and like them to vote them up. Okay. And Anastasia, you are definitely welcome to participate via the chat. But if you want to do it anonymously, then definitely try to join the poll. Okay. So, all right, you guys, we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to leave the poll live while I check out some of the results and kind of go over those just a little bit. My results details are loading, so just one moment.
Yeah, we found it was difficult to share that list without sharing the whole screen, which means you would see teams again, like an inception kind of thing, and that did not work.
Indeed. And my results are still loading. And Jeff, if your results have loaded already, that we can talk through yours, but mine are still loading. So that I could talk about them. Well, while they're loading, Jeff, can you see some of because now it's blocked out the results from the word cloud. Can you see some of the word cloud results? You might want to say a few of those out loud while mine are loading.
Yeah. Oh, geez, these are all Okay, something loaded over here. I was able to export it and get it loaded.
Well, great.
So we have a lot of things about the timeline, and most of these are about like when things are due, accounting processes, dates and deadlines. Dates, deadlines, right. Good. Part of that will be there will be a very easy answer. But what do you need to know? A plan, that would be good. Know the grant team capabilities. That's really nice. Clear goals and measurable outcomes. Very cool stuff. Intellectual merit. So for planning out your materials for sure, and broader impact. Having a granular timeline with deliverables. Yeah. So a lot about pacing in the timeline.
Mm-hmm. And I'll go ahead and close the poll at this point. And if there are other, it's still giving me the something went wrong. So Jeff, looks like you're going to have to run the polls there. Go ahead and close that poll. But if you can still see the results, certainly continue with that before you do it, if that will impede your ability to look at them.
Okay, I think I just closed it.
Okay, you do. Very, very good. Very good.
We rehearsed it and everything, but it's never exactly the same.
Indeed. But at least we got kind of a capture of what it is you guys were looking for. What do you think you need to know in order to have a successful grant project? And really, we just wanted to start off the meeting with kind of a pulse check there to what is really at the top of your mind for what this meeting may be able to share with you. And certainly timelines and things like that, deadlines, expectations are at the forefront of your mind, according to the poll here. And I know that is specifically on the agenda for later today. So we will be able to meet those needs there. And so for those of you, as we see in the chat, who still have the poll on your screen, you can hit the done button or the X in the top right, and it will exit it from your screen. And we have a couple other polls coming up later, so we'll get used to these in a little bit. Anyone else having trouble with exiting from the poll? All right. Well, thank you for participating and getting through a few of these humps as we get through the technology. And I'll go ahead and pass it back over to Jeff as he goes through the agenda and the rest of our slides this morning.
Yeah.
Okay, so Laura says she doesn't have an X or a done button.
Yeah, I think you would have to do the old Microsoft fix of turning it off and on again. So you'd have to restart Teams and log back in. Yeah, that seems like that is a flat out glitch.
Indeed. Sorry about that.
All right. So first thing we're going to do are project team introductions. And these may seem like, oh, well, I already know everybody. But I think it's one of the most helpful and important parts of this meeting. You've all done some sort of training, and a lot of the answers that you're seeking, even the timelines, are actually there on places like the service level agreement. But getting to know your colleagues and what they're planning is the most important part, I think, of this part, where we all get together as a cohort, as round 27. So we'll do the research grants and the continuous improvement grants first, then our transformation grants. Then we will take a 10-minute break, and then we'll get into the second part of it, which is our information for you. That is OER, just a quick overview, a quick rundown, just to make sure that we're all on the same page. An accessibility overview, not because you haven't already done some accessibility things, but because there's a new rule coming from the Department of Justice that you'll need to know about, that we just knew about as well. Then we'll go over the service level agreement and the invoices. We'll also go over how reporting works, our semester and final reports, and of course the timeline that has to do with that. And then a little bit about communications and when you are all going to meet with us again for the midpoint check-in. And then a little bit of Q&A at the end as we adjourn. So the first thing that we're going to do is that our research grants folks are going to introduce themselves. We're going with the project lead to introduce the team. But if the project lead is not here, then someone else on that team, if you're there, just speak right up and just introduce what that team is going to do. So please introduce you, your project team members, and briefly describe your research topic. We are going to start from the top with Dr. Kwok from Middle Georgia State University.
And I'll kind of guide through the research grants and the continuing improvement grants. Yes. And then Jeff is going to get us through the transformation introductions as well, which is a much longer list. So just be patient with us. But like Jeff mentioned, it really is important to kind of hear what's going on in the other projects, not only for inspiration and motivation, but also just to kind of know how these projects fit in the bigger picture as well. So our first project lead.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Myung-jae Kwok, and I'm a professor of computer science at Middle Georgia State University. My colleague, Dr. Seol, and I are extremely grateful to receive this research grant. Through this project, we aim to develop and evaluate an AI-based adaptive learning system to enhance the teaching of Python programming for our computer science students. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And so we'll move right along to University of North Georgia, Bonnie, PJ?
So BJ is not here, but somebody else is, I believe.
Okay, if there's anyone else on the team that would be grateful to, we'd be grateful if you'd introduce the project.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Apologies. My camera is being a little bit glitchy with me today, but I'm Ariana Adams. I'm the assistant managing editor at the University of North Georgia Press, and our research grant will be focusing on evaluating the impact of commercial learning systems and platforms on textbook costs and OER adoption. We've done a little bit of kind of initial research on this already and found some significant financial impacts on high enrollment courses due to commercial learning systems and platforms. So we're excited to dig into this a little bit more and really see what we have going on here.
Great, I appreciate that. And so everyone else, as you're listening to these research grant projects, research grants are something that has been piloted this year, and we're happy to have around 27. Should they continue, these are ideas that maybe you might think about as you're looking at your projects for subsequent grant applications. So lastly, from Georgia Gwinnett.
Good afternoon. This is Rabia Shabazz. I'm here on behalf of my team. I have Jamie Curry with me. And our research grant actually stemmed from the transformation grant that we received to transform our pre-calculus class into more of an active learning classroom. And then we got the continuous grant to do the same kind of work with our online pre-calculus sections. And we also added in the component of sense of belonging and student engagement. So we designed our activities to promote that. And we have been collecting data. We collected data in fall of 24 and then spring of 25. And we were fortunate to apply and receive the research grant to now compile that information, all that data, and try to get a publication out. Last year, we also published in the Open Education Journal our findings from that transformation grant. And we're just really excited to have another article out through this research grant and talk about our transformation with the online classes, which especially with the math, asynchronous online classes are very hard to engage students. So this continuous grant allowed us to create resources, and now the research grant will allow us to compile information and get some results out of it that we would like to share with everyone. So thank you.
You're very welcome. And thank you. This was a great opportunity to kind of show how some of these grants can work together year after year or time over time as we continue to impact the success of our students, not with just one project, but as a whole. So Jeff, we'll move on to the continuous improvement grants, and we'll do our introduction starting there. As you can see, we have a little bit longer list for round 27 for the continuous improvement grants. So we'll start with Augusta University. If there's anyone here from there.
Hi, this is Soma. I'm from Augusta University. I teach in the Department of Biological Sciences. So a few years back, our for the fundamentals of biology course, that is a biology course for non-majors, the lab got separated from lecture. It used to be lecture and lab together. So there we were using some resources before, but then when the lab got separated, we needed to make it more organized with more activities in there. So at that time, we received another ALG grant, and we successfully created the resources. But over the years, what we see that the student population, the trained has changed. And then after using those lab materials, also we thought that some changes, addition, modifications needed for the learning objectives in the experiments what we had. So this is why we applied again this time. And thank you. We received the grant, and we are looking forward to adding more interactive part, gamification, new experiments, case studies, a lot of changes we are planning to do.
Great, thank you. And Soma, if you wouldn't mind introducing the other members of your team as well, just a quick rundown of the names.
Sure. With three of us, we will be working together. It's me and then Dr. Stacy Bennett and Dr. Christina Wilson. We are a team of three. We'll be working on this project.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And so everyone, as you can see, while these introductions are kind of impactful, so that those of you who are in the transformation grants, if this is your first transformation grant, listen carefully to the continuous improvement grants, as you might see some of the challenges you might encounter after your transformation is complete, and where a continuous improvement grant might support you at the completion in the coming years of your supporting your transformation project. Okay, so that's a little plug in there for our continuous improvement grants. Next, from Valdosta State.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julie Lester, and I'm from Valdosta State University, and I teach political science and public administration. For this round, my grant will be used in the Pulse 3200, which is the state and local government course. We're actually going to use an OER textbook for the course, which will be the first time using that in a state and local government. We use it in our 1101. I mean, I'm OG. We were in the first round a long time ago. But we're going to put it in the state and local government, and I'm going to create a set of ancillaries that students will be able to use that aren't tied to that textbook. They're going to be more Georgia state and local government focused. So not only can we use those for 3200, but those who also teach state and local government and their 1101 for the legislative mandate, they may be able to use those resources as well. So it's kind of, even though I'm only doing it for one class, hopefully the impact will go beyond that one class.
Perfect. And are you on this particular project, or do you have other members of the team?
It's just me.
Understood. Well, welcome back from way back when, and we're excited to see what you have going on next. All right, so from South Georgia State, we'll continue in the line.
Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Ralph Taloni, Professor of Engineering at South Georgia State College. We successfully finished the transformation grant from the last year of developing successfully 4 courses to our engineering students. And this year, we're in the transformation, continuing this time on the continuous grant, where we're going to work on 2 courses. One of them is Introduction to Engineering, and the other one is on the design. And our team is myself, Raf Taloni, and Dr. Badr Abdul, and Isaac and Jose will be joining us on the team. Hopefully, we'll do one more time, more success and more free books for our students. Thank you.
State for the LGST 94910. And if not, we'll move on. And if they come in later, they join in later, we will provide an opportunity for them to introduce themselves a little bit later. All right, so we'll keep going here with Kennesaw State there.
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
We can, yes.
Hi, everybody. This is Yang from the Computer Science Department of Kennesaw State University. So this is a grant, as we know, this is a continuous grant. So the cloud computing course was supported as part of the transformation grants in the past. And this round, I will implement more cloud computing related new materials, open source materials, to make this course more relevant to the real world. And that's pretty much the purpose of this grant. And I'm grateful for this opportunity to be supported by ALG to keep improving our content. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right. So University of West Georgia.
Hello all. I'm Alex Clausen. I am the project lead. I teach French and German, and this is a continuous improvement grant for our German program. We are transitioning from one OER to another OER, and as part of that, what we're trying to do with this grant is to create placemaking materials. So the homework assignments that these students will be doing will all be organized around things that they do at West Georgia. My colleague, Felix Toiser, here in the German program will be working with me, and then we've recruited German-speaking colleagues from across campus to provide audio recordings for students, such that we, as students are going through our courses, they have this immediate impact and this immediate feedback where they can really hear themselves and see themselves and their German selves here at UWG. So that's our plan.
Great. That sounds exciting. I hope everyone is thinking through some of these ideas that people are using to improve on their courses, such as going from one OER to another one, and using our grants for that as well. So hopefully your imagination is clicking for the next round. All right. Well, who is next? We have another. All my excitement. I forgot where I was. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So we're back at KSU.
Hi, everyone.
Hey there.
Hi. My name is Robert Randolph. I'm an associate professor of management at the business school at Kennesaw State University. And this grant is for Management 7099, the capstone course of our Masters of Business Administration course program. In this course, students compete against each other in a semester-long simulated competition. And within that simulation, we embed our assessment questions that are required for our accreditation. And so while they're taking this simulation, they're also asked questions just throughout their that cover their entire program. And it's done through the same publisher as the simulation. This year, the publisher differentiated those two products as two different pieces of software and started charging an independent licensing fee for students to take the accreditation quizzes. I took that very personally. And so I reached out to faculty, Nick Murphy, who is here with us, a lecturer in computer science and the faculty advisor of the game development and design team that we have here. And we're going to be creating an in-house replacement for conducting assessment software so that we can not have students pay a publisher for it. If it's successful here in this first class, the other member on our grant is Dr. Leonard Jackson. He's the executive director of our hospitality management program, a new and hybrid program in our business school. And potentially, if this is successful, a next step would be one of the larger grants to deploy this program in our undergraduate delivery as well.
Wow, I appreciate that. That's really exciting. Thank you so much for sharing that. And so we'll continue on with another technology based product with Kennesaw State, another one from Kennesaw for IT 1114.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Trigang Li from the Information Technology Department at Kennesaw State University. Along with me today, I have my colleagues Denise Tucker and Darren Morrow in the meeting. And we also have two other team members, Dr. Jack Jones and also William Forsyth on the team who are currently not present in the meeting. For this continuous improvement grant, we have 4 courses that we plan to essentially make enhancement improvements. I believe, if I remember correctly, the majority of the 4 courses were previously transformed at least over 5 years ago. So they're due for some major updates and changes, and we have various plans for each course. So our first course is 1114 for programming, and then we have the Introduction to Web Development, Linux, Unix, and also the Virtual IT Systems course. I think that's all. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you so much. And I do appreciate this one principle of open education is the fact that we can use OERs and update them as needed to make them relevant and applicable to current needs for students. All right, so we keep moving on. Georgia College and State University.
Hi, my name is Christine Mutiti. I'm the team leader. We are a 5-member team. My colleague Alison Vandervoort is also on this meeting. And the other members are Kalina Manoilov, Sam Mutiti, and Chris White. And we all together teach a course, Intro to Environmental Science. So I think it was back in 2015 or 2016, we received the transformation grant and went ahead and wrote a textbook for the course, so Intro to Environmental Science. And in 2018, we received a continuous improvement grant. We did our first update. And so this is the second time we are updating the book. It's been 6 years. So really our focus is mainly going through and making sure that we update every part of the book. So we are very glad that we were awarded this grant because it was about time that the book needed an upgrade. So, yeah.
I understood, and a perfect application for the CI grants, indeed. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and so we do have another from Kennesaw State for IT 6203. Of course, the list here is just the first course. There may be multiple courses, but just the first course on the application. So Kennesaw?
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Shirley. I'm also from IT department at Kennesaw State University. And for this project, we have 4 graduate level courses. And we have the team member, Dr. Chicken Lee, is also the one of the developer for IT 6203. And we also have Dr. Ying Xie and Dr. Said Amin Perea and Dr. Min Yang. They are all very experienced developer for ALG grants in the past. So our department actually transformed all the courses, including undergraduate and graduate courses, into the ALG grants. So there's no textbook cost for all the students in our departments. And from last year, we also have another cybersecurity graduate program in our department, and we in this grant we involved one cyber graduate courses as well, and another 3 courses are one is IT foundation courses that's for the student without computing background to be enrolled in our MSIT program, and one is the IIT 6023. That's a research seminary, advanced text analytics that will be developed by Dr. Ying Xie. And the Cyber 7240, that is the cyber analytics and intelligence. So this one will be developed by Dr. Perea. And this, I think we will add more AI components into that cybersecurity course as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm glad that I chose that moment to mention that this list is only the first course. I didn't realize that there would be multiples even for Shirley as she explained that, but I'm glad. I also want to make mention that you notice some of you have been here and have done this many, many times, so you're no longer a novice, and many of you are brand new, but it's important to hear from each other. Not only that, because as we get further on into the projects towards our midpoint meeting, you'll hear more about that. You'll be hearing more about how to get things done in a successful manner from our more experienced grantees. And so those that are here that have already heard these things before, your presence is very much needed. We thank you so much. Let's keep moving right along. So we have Georgia Southern here, VIP 3000. Anybody from that team?
So sorry, I never unmuted myself as I was talking.
Okay.
I'm Heidi Eisenreich. I'm from Georgia Southern University, and VIP is vertically integrated projects. The project that we're working on that right now that we're using the VIP, or I mean the ALG grant for, is we're creating resources. A year ago, we started creating resources for kinder and first grade parents because the way math is being taught is very different, and a lot of them don't understand the different manipulatives. And my students are pre-service teachers, so they're coming to school to be teachers, and so they're working with us to develop these things, not just for the parents, but also for their own kind of deepening of the standards and everything. And so we're finishing up kinder and first grade now. And then we did this continuous improvement to work on second, third, and fourth. So we've started planning out some of the tasks that students are going to work on over the summer and get those things up into our LibGuide. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so keep going along. We have Georgia State for chemistry 1151. Trying to scan the room to see if there's anyone trying to speak or be. It's not muted. Okay. All right. So again, we'll have an opportunity if that team does join us a little bit later. Georgia Gwinnett.
Yes. So I'm David Dorrell. I'm not actually Todd Lindley, but he is also on the team. The rest of our team would be Dr. Joseph Henderson and Dr. Georgetta Connor. And we have a previous OER textbook that we put together, and then we made support materials for that. Well, we have a new edition that has since been made. And so we're going to now make the support materials, the questions, the slides, and all that sort of stuff for this new edition. And this is all for Introduction to Human Geography, Geography 1101 across the USG system.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. And so we're almost done here. So Abraham Baldwin.
Hello, I'm Sheila McClendon, and our project lead, April Abbott, couldn't be here today, so I'm speaking for her. We have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 or 9 of us on our team, along with myself and Dr. Abbott. We have Dr. Yu, we have Hope Toole, Juan Gregas, Isaac Afari, Bundy Panther, and Adam Anderson. We are improving our college algebra with the rising cost of our homework platform. We were moving out of WebAssign. We're going to My Open Math. We will continue to have the OER textbook to support this. We have a large enrollment of dual enrollment in college algebra. And since the college has to pay for those costs, this will not only be a cost saving to our students, but also to the college, as My Open Math will be free, so they will not incur that expense.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I did forget the fact that because of our dual enrollment program, which is a grand and robust program here in Georgia, unlike other states that involves, I think, 9th through 12th grade dual enrollment students, that, we provide the textbooks. So it's a big cost savings, not only for the student, but for the system. So thank you for bringing that up as well. All right, so we're almost done here, guys. So Georgia Gwinnett.
Hello, my name is Ben Tran. I'm a full professor of IT, along with my co-PI, Dr. Uma Koka, who's an associate professor in IT. And this is our 4th ALG grant. We did 3 textbook transformations. This was the first one we did about 3 years ago for iTech 3300, which is our first information security course. And so our improvement is to add on more hands-on, web-based, cloud-based applications. So our students, as they're learning the concepts, they can also test it out in a real live environment. And we feel through our research that having this adds to the experiential learning. And we plan to also apply for other continuous improvements for the other courses that we have ALG grants on already. So that's what we're working on, and we really appreciate the help and assistance from ALG, and as we move forward. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And last but not least, in our continuous improvement grants from Kennesaw State.
Oh, hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
So we are a team of 4 computer science professors from Kennesaw State University. We have Dr. Kun Suo leading the project. We have Dr. Bobington, Dr. Patrick Bobby, and also myself, Tu Nguyen. So this is continuous effort based on our last year success on improving learning materials for our students in the CS 4504, like parallel and distributed computing. This year, we aim to introduce new and popular technologies, focusing more on AI and big data. And also, we want to enhance success of students from diverse backgrounds. And we believe this course is critical for our undergraduate students. It helps them with a fundamental principle of designing and implementing programs on. I'm sorry. Yeah. So it's important for our undergraduate students to help them, get more principle of designing and implementing program on interconnected computer system. And thank you for the support. We are very, very grateful for this opportunity.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I'm just uploading a quickly updated version of this to make sure. So, so I think we're going to transfer over to transformation grants. Thanks, Nikita. So let's go through our transformation grant teams. We will start with Dr. Kays at Augusta State University for English 3687.
Hello, Trent Kays here. Actually, it's just Augusta University now. So I think I'm supposed to say that, right? So it's not Augusta State anymore. Though we miss it. So anyway, names change. So I will just say, Dr. Trent Kays here. My project is my team. I'm the only member on my team at this moment because I'm going to have students on my team. So for my transformation grant, we're co-creating a user research and design textbook for the first user research and design course at Augusta University, which is in our professional writing and rhetoric major. Which I designed. So I'm also, I guess, doing the textbook for it as well. So lots of fun all around. So that's me.
Thanks so much. Dr. Sarkar at Georgia State and the Math 1113 team.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. And first, I would like to thank and we are very grateful for having this opportunity of getting this transformation grant for the pre-calculus project. And I am joined by my team of 2 members, 2 collaborators, Dr. Rishi Subedi and Dr. Bosu Choi. And I'm also thankful for the presence of my Georgia State University's Affordable Learning Georgia champion, World Justice. So thank you all for being here. And our plan is to transform this particular course to create a lasting and meaningful impact on the pre-calculus course so that the students are kind of staying engaged, both in classroom as well as in online learning environment. And we would like to create we are actually working already in creating high quality instructional materials that will improve the effectiveness of active learning strategies, as well as reinforcing fundamental mathematical concepts. And that will actually address common gaps in the prerequisite knowledge, better prepare them for success in subsequent courses like calculus, physics, etc. So we are excited to be part of this grant, and thank you very much again.
Thank you. Okay, Dr. Ziegler at Georgia Southern with Nursing 3101.
Yes, this ALG grant is going to be for our Essential Skills and Fundamentals course. So one of the first courses that they take. Currently, the students pay for a series of clinical skills videos that help them to master those skills. So this project will be funding the creation of our own clinical skills videos that are a little more up to date, a little bit more evidence-based, and will hopefully lead to some student success for our students.
Thank you so much. Dr. Moreno from Augusta University with Education 7021.
Hi, everybody. This is actually Rebecca Roloff, and our project lead, Ria Moreno, is on a flight, so I will be introducing us. We are also working with Thomas Weeks, who is our librarian at the Somerville campus in Augusta, and we are in the process of hiring 2 graduate assistants for our project. So we are going to be reworking EDUC 7021, which is our introductory research course for our educational specialist degree. We usually have about 8 sections of that course. So it impacts quite a lot of students, and our students are actually full-time teachers, all of them working on their advanced education degrees. And as we know about the state of education, these students may not necessarily be the most highly paid. And so making this work more affordable for them, I think is going to be really beneficial to them. So we will be working this summer with our grad assistants on locating some more materials to support the objectives of our course. And we're all very excited about getting this project started, and we're really grateful to have this opportunity in this grant.
Thank you so much. Okay, let's go to Dr. Simon at Georgia College and State University for English 2110.
Hi, thank you so much for this grant. We're so excited to do this. I'm Katie Simon, and I teach in the English department at Georgia College. I'm joined on my team with 2 colleagues, Hedwig Fraunhofer and Carrie Neville. We're all collaborating together on a study abroad experience in Germany called Nature Culture. And so we have 4 classes that we'll be working on: World Lit, Writing About Lit, Eco-Criticism, and a GC2Y Global Perspectives course. For these classes, we're adapting them to make them accessible and affordable and transportable to a place-based kind of on-site German study abroad experience. So we're really excited about that.
Thanks so much. Dr. Amos and the Georgia Southern University team for Read 6131.
Had to figure out how to turn things on. I apologize.
That's okay.
I was like, it's not doing it. Katie, I would like to take the classes that you're revamping. So I was getting excited listening to them. Hi, I'm Michelle Amos. I am with Georgia Southern University, and I'm in the reading program. And I'm working with my colleagues, Elizabeth Prosser and Leslie Chala Roberts, to redesign one of our courses that is taken by our MAT majors. So those students, this is their first semester in their own classrooms. Many of them have no educational background or no education undergraduate background. So they're learning everything brand new and have a lot going on in their lives. And this course has a lot of content and application. So Elizabeth has taught this course previously, and she's revised it and she's worked it. And the students were asking us to add some other elements. And this grant came across our desks, and we said, well, if we're going to add some other elements, we could also get rid of the textbooks. So it's going to be an adventure, and the 3 of us are all looking forward to it. And I'm excited to see so many other people from Georgia Southern listed, because you may be getting some emails from me as we figure out how to navigate this together. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so next up is Dr. Cause and this team at Kennesaw State University for EDRS 9300.
Hi, my colleague cannot attend, so I will present her. It's Dr. Vasquez. We both teach modules or seminars on the literature review for our doctoral programs, and also I design modules and co-teach for our master level students. So this is maybe unusual textbook that we try to create. It's actually a textbook that doesn't exist. We could not find material for a few courses we could teach, and that's why we need a textbook. But we advocate for open access, open education resources, so we decided to make it open right away. The textbook will be literature review and specifically scientific literature review, research. And it will have a companion, which we don't need maybe apply for other grants because the companion will resign on as an interactive part and will resign on different platform than textbook. And this companion will be updated. Versus textbook will include methodology and the way to search, analyze, and synthesize literature, which have not been changed, except new methods or new techniques or new software have been developed. That's it.
Thank you so much. How about Dr. Mohebe from University of North Georgia with CSCI 1302?
Yes, hello everyone. I'm Mohammed Mohebe from University of North Georgia, and we are a team of 6 faculty. And from this 6, Dr. Jiang Jung Yang and Dr. Ming Yuan, they are in the meeting today. We are planning to develop no-cost material for computer science 2, CSCI 1302. And we plan to develop this material to be tuned to the type of and the population of student we have at UNG. We want this material to be like more hands-on, including more instructional videos. And we appreciate ALG and you guys for the support of our project. Thank you.
Thank you. How about Dr. Poirier from Kennesaw State University in IT 1103?
Hello, this is Jack. Dr. Poirier and I are working on this class, and he could not be here today, so I will present. Now, IT 1103 is the new course in the IT program, so it's completely new. For a long time, our students take the programming class as the first class. So we figured out that they should have more broader understanding of the knowledge and the foundation of the fields. So we introduced this class. It's completely new. It will be offered starting this fall 2025. So at this time, developing all the modules, all the assignments, and all the student work. And hopefully we'll get this done by the end of the summer because we have to offer it in the fall. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Dr. Griffith from Augusta with CRJU 4431.
Hi, thanks again for the grant. I'm working with a team. It's myself, Dr. Raquel Oliveira, and Dr. Thomas Weeks, who is the Pamplin College librarian here on Somerville. And so we are transforming our CRJU 4431, which is our criminology class, which is our foundational theory class in our criminal justice program. We've made it a requirement. And so all incoming criminal justice majors will have to take this. And so we wanted to make it a no-cost course. And since theory doesn't really change from like the 17 and 18 into the 1900s, we're making this not an open access, but a no-cost course, and transforming it so that we basically have the same materials across sections that we teach, standardizing it, and we'll be doing this over the summer because our first class in this new cohort will be taught in the fall. So thanks again.
Thank you. We just saw in chat, Dr. Drake Schuermann has laryngitis, so please get better. She shared it, what she's working on in chat, and I invite you all to read that. That's very cool stuff. Let's go to Dr. Wilson from Augusta University with Math 2011.
Hi, I'm Dr. Wilson. I am working with a few of my colleagues at AU. There's 7 of us on the team. Dr. Hee Yang, Dr. Chris Terry, Dr. Michael Otanuga, Dr. Eric Numfor, Dr. Thir Dangal, and Dr. Shankar Sikdar. And Thir Dangal is on this call as well. And we are working to transform our calculus sequence into a no-cost course. So that is Math 2011, Math 2012, and Math 2013, Calculus 1, 2, and 3, respectively. And currently we, what's used per course varies somewhat based on the instructor, but it's everyone uses a not very cheap math textbook, because I think everyone knows how wonderfully cheap math textbooks tend to be. And then there's also a lot of times an online homework system. And so it's just very expensive for students to take the course, especially for those that are only taking Calculus 1. And it's also it's a very nice calculus textbook, but it's an older version that hasn't really been updated, and so it's getting a little bit harder to get physical copies of it, or even permanent copies. Like it's easy to rent for a semester, but for those semesters that have to take it multiple semesters in a row, that's not real great. So we are wanting to transform it to a no-cost course. So that means adopting an open source textbook, developing lecture materials for those, since we're going to be implementing it department wide. We don't want to just throw it on all of the instructors that have to teach the course. And we're also going to be adopting and then creating homework problems using an online homework system like MyOpenMath. And we'll be developing some training materials for other instructors that need to start using this stuff that aren't involved on the grant. So I think that's about it.
Thanks so much. Dr. Hanson from Georgia Gwinnett with Biology 2251.
Hello. Thank you for the opportunity here with this grant. It's myself along with Dr. Karen Gerson. We are transforming the lab manual for Biology 2251, which is anatomy and physiology, the first section, the first course. And we are looking to use students to transform, to make a lab manual that's more engaging and relevant for the students, and as well as make it low or no cost. And so we're hoping to do that during this summer, and then see what the students think during a pilot study in the fall and rolling it out in the course in the spring. And we are excited to do this because our current lab manual is not really engaging or active with students and can be quite monotonous and boring. So we hope to make something more exciting and relevant and to the students that are taking this course, mainly going into health professional fields. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Dr. Flynn from Georgia Gwinnett, English 1102.
Hey, I am not Dr. Flynn, but I am Mandy Senna, and I am part of the team of colleagues that we have for English 1102. That team includes Rebecca Flynn, Stephanie Denny, Ebony Gibson, Catherine Downey, Jeannie Law from Kennesaw, a student from GGC, Tom Lilly from GGC, and Rebecca Cooper from GGC. And we are creating a course shell for our English 1102 sections that will use an OER textbook and also incorporate an exact experiential learning, critical thinking activity that our colleagues can use so that the cost goes down for our students without a text, and create some sort of an option for adjuncts coming in and teaching that has a standard of expectations and assignments.
Thanks so much. And also, speaking of team member Dr. Law, how about her project with KSU on English 1102? Oh, I think she may not have been able to make it. Okay, we will move on to Dr. Park from Georgia Gwinnett College with Math 2008.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sarah Park from the Math and Stats Department at GGC. Jenny Curvin from our team is also here. We're using this transformation grant to improve and streamline our Foundations of Numbers and Operation course, which is a class required for all elementary education majors. And we'll be working on designing class activities, assessments, and resources, which we hope will help our future elementary teachers build confidence and self-efficacy in teaching math. And we really appreciate the ALG grant team for giving us this opportunity.
All right, and let's hear from Dr. Tong in Georgia Southern with CSCI 4520.
Hello, everyone. This is Wei Tian Tong from the Computer Science at Georgia Southern University. And this project is a collaboration with my colleague, Dr. Vijay Ramasamy. And we are excited to develop no-cost learning materials for two machine learning courses, one at the undergraduate level and the other one at the graduate level. And I've had the opportunity to participate in several ALG projects in the past, and we are very grateful for this continued support from ALG, and we look forward to contributing to this broader open education community. Thank you.
Thanks so much. And thank you, everyone, for joining us and for introducing yourselves today. It's been really cool hearing about all of your projects. Cannot wait to see what happens. And so the next thing we're going to do before I start throwing out a whole bunch of information out there is we are going to take a 10-minute break. All right. Well, we'll get started on the information part of everything. So the first thing we're going to talk about is just a little bit about OER. Now, a lot of you have already taken the asynchronous training. We've already talked about OER a lot. But the thing that we really want to emphasize here are kind of the benefits of having open resources and what you may not know about them beyond the fact that, hey, they're free. They're free to use, but they're also free to keep. So you don't have any subscriptions or accounts that would expire after you left the institution or after a month or two as a student or even as a professor. There's no tracking on them. No one is selling your data if you're using OER through open providers that like us. There's a lot of great things about that. There's some tough things about that too. So if we're not tracking folks when they're using OER, we can't say, well, students read this all the time and they're using it for this many classes. So if we ever are asking you about the sustainability of your course, we do a sustainability survey every year. Please do respond to the survey because there is hardly any other way we know that these materials are still being used. So yeah, on the tough side of the no data tracking part is the part where you have to illustrate value. Being flexible for you, the instructor, because open licenses allow for you to customize open resources. So beyond freedom, being able to really alter these. That means that your specific students and your specific courses and the way that you teach, those can all be served in a more relevant manner than if you were going to go out there, grab a textbook from a place where you couldn't customize it, the commercial realm, et cetera, and just present them there. And of course, OER are not just open textbooks. They are plenty of things, including some of which you heard today, from simulations to videos and audio and photos, images, etc. And the other great thing about OER is that quite often you have the real authors of those materials sharing them out with the rest of the world. Others other experts are remixing them and sharing them out as well. So you have this kind of shared expertise that goes into the OER lifecycle. And what is great here is that librarians and instructional designers can help out too in ways to make things more discoverable, in ways to find the stuff that's out there, and of course in ways that make stuff more engaging for students and based on science of teaching and learning research and stuff like that. Now, the open resources that we use are usually Creative Commons licensed. I say usually because there are a few resources out there that are software. And if they're software, often they're under a different license like the GNU GPL. If you're a software developer, you know all about that. If you're not a software developer, you may not, that's okay. What we're using for things like your open textbooks, your PDFs, your docx's, your LibGuides, stuff like that, are Creative Commons licenses. They don't take the software and say that the code, the source code and all of that is now open. They say that the content that's created here using whatever platform is open, not the platform itself all the time. So it's great because you can then use other tools to create this stuff and you don't have to worry about those tools suddenly going, hey, we didn't have permission to do that. So Creative Commons licenses usually start with CC to say, hey, it's Creative Commons. After that, there's a couple of restrictions based on which license you have. So CC BY, that is the building block of all these Creative Commons licenses. It's attribution. You must attribute the original work if you create a new work using it. So if somebody makes a weird version or a bad version or an inaccurate version of the thing you've created, they are still linking back to the original. So the history of that original is preserved. That provenance continues. And also, it's just good to share who created what all the way back to the original thing. It's a good ethical method as well. Dr. Cause says if we upload the textbook to the repository, you can collect some usage stats like views and downloads. That is very true. You aren't able to gather everything. Like we have some pseudonymous location data, like we know that something's coming from a city or a town, but we don't know more than that. We know that things have been viewed. We know that things have been downloaded. We don't know by who. We don't know where, that's for sure. So you can get that repository data that it is being used, but you can't get the repository data of it's being used by whom. We can't require, hey, what exactly are you using this for? That openness means, hey, go ahead and use it how you would like, which is great and also tough to track. So I hope that answers your question. So for the other parts of the Creative Commons licenses, these are optional past this point. Non-commercial is one where you cannot create a new work with the original, a derivative work, for commercial use. So I've got a CC BY NC textbook over here. You create a rap song out of it over here, and you sell it. You sell the single for a large profit because you're super popular. You sell it to a pharmaceutical CEO for $5 million, and you only print it out one album. That's an old reference. So you can't then create that derivative for commercial use. You can't do it for profit. So this gets a little bit hairy when it comes to how you're sharing stuff. If you're sharing stuff on a website and you have a CC BY NC license thing from someone else and you're sharing it on your website and you're getting ad revenue from it, in that case, you probably can't do that. You'd probably have to discontinue the ad revenue for that particular page or just get that work off of your website. If you're trying to make a print version and you ask a print shop to create 10 print copies so that you can distribute those either at the cost that they took to print it out or just for free, at that point, you're able to do that. You're able to enlist a print shop, even if that print shop profits off of its services. because it's way less useful to require you to own a print shop and make that printed version itself. This goes back to a court case that happened with Kinko's / FedEx office. Basically, it's easier to make a print copy than you would think. But the print shop can't then go and sell that at a profit. The stores that might sell the print version of it can't sell it at a profit, and you can't sell it at. Well, if you've created it, you still have the license. You still have permissions beyond any of this. You have the copyright. But anyone else, if you were to bring that in, you can make a print version. That's perfectly fine. You just can't sell it at a profit. For share alike, which is SA, this is a bit like those software licenses that are out there that say, if you use our stuff, you have to put it under the same license to pass that freedom on. Share alike is a way to pass that responsibility in open to the next person, so that it's always being shared under the same license. I think that it's a cool one. It can get complicated if you want to share something under CC BY, but you can't do it this other way. But it is, even though it's a tiny bit more complicated, it encourages more openness down the line. I do think that that's pretty cool. Now, the other one that is great for artworks, great for stuff that's personal, great for hard data that you can't change because you just do not want anything remixed from it. Like you've got a cancer research article, you don't want it changed. There is a way for you to put no derivatives on a Creative Commons license. This means it can't be remixed. It can't be revised. Oh, Dr. Shi says, will the slides be shared? Yes, we will share them with all of you. For sure. And we'll share this recording as well. So no derivatives means that you cannot make any copies of it at all. I mean, that have anything changed. You can only make the as is copy, exactly how it is. So if you create a political science textbook, Intro to Political Science, right? And it's 2018. And you are going to be teaching Introduction to Political Science in 2025. Some things may have changed in between 2018 and now, and you would not be able to add it to that textbook and remix it, and bam, you've got it. You may be able to make a supplement to it that only uses your material and say, okay, we'll go over to this other file, but you'd have to work around it in a way that doesn't allow for customization. That's why we would usually discourage folks from using ND in education, because those derivative works are the way that we pass openness along. It's the way that the life cycle keeps happening. It's a really cool thing that doesn't just happen with free resources. It stops at free if you just have free resources that are all rights reserved without an open license on them. But if you have an open license, you can then share stuff openly. You can have more faculty adopt it, revise it, remix it, and you might then take a look at it and go, whoa, this team out in Canada revised my business book to add Canadian references and stuff, but they also made it this super accessible instructional design revision as well. So I could take this back, put American examples into it, and take the good stuff that they've done on it, and now I've got a better edition of my book. That's way better than the usual, well, this company created another edition of the book, and the biggest development is that it costs more, and the second biggest development is that they've duct taped a CD-ROM, or now an access code to the back of it. So it's a really nice way to continue this cycle. So that was OER. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about accessibility. You've already talked about this in the asynchronous training, just like the last thing. But there's a little bit extra that I wanted to talk about, because there are new guidelines that have happened before this administration came in that are going to mandate some more accessibility things than we've done in the past. It used to be that if you had an educational resource, there was kind of a reactive approach to making things accessible to all learners. Ethically, you should be making your stuff accessible to all learners. That's not discriminating towards anyone because you're making it available to all. That's exactly what we want. I mean, that's true openness. But it is tough to do sometimes. And every so often, we'll make something and it'll just be like, oh yeah, I forgot to put the alt text on all of these images. I forgot to structure my text. Oh no. So there's now going to be a more proactive approach. On April 26, 2026, that is the federal deadline. All of your content on the web, because we are a public organization that provides services, either at the USG in the system office or at your institution, these need to comply with the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, and that's their 2.1 version, which is the most recent, and level AA, which is the middle requirement. So AA is in the middle. If you had AAA requirements, you would need staff for them. AAA requirements are things like American Sign Language interpretation for pre-recorded audio, as opposed to just a transcript. That's cool. That's like deluxe accessibility, but most of us do not have deluxe accessibility capabilities. Level AA is more what we're used to when we say accessibility over here at ALG. Now, you might see some exceptions listed, and those exceptions are very narrow. If you're using any materials in your classroom in 2025, even though they were created in 2018, in order for somebody to use them, they would need to be accessible. Dr. Wilson says, does the new accessibility requirements apply to content on learning management systems? And all signs point to yes, including the folks that I have listened to on this when they're talking about it at the Community College Consortium on OER and things like that. If you're using them and requiring them for students in order to participate in your course, and then they need to be accessible to all from the start. And so that's going to mean some different things depending on what you're doing. So the learning management system itself, it is on the vendor to comply, and it is on the organizations to push them to make sure that they do comply. That's not on you. If you've created a D2L module in their format and you have made it as accessible as you can, it really is on them to make sure that the tech stuff behind the scenes is accessible. That's not you. And you'll see a little bit of this as we go through it. But yeah, some of these web accessibility guidelines, if you just take a look at them, you're like, wait a minute, this is for every website in the world. What does this have to do with what I'm using over here? A lot of it doesn't apply unless you're going beyond what we usually do. So here's some stuff that's important for the usual stuff that we would be sharing out, like Word and PDF and PowerPoint. If you go beyond that, you may need to look into more accessibility guidelines in the WCAG, the WCAG, to make sure that you are also in compliance. But the big one is just Chapter 1. For OER authors, really just looking at the first chapter of those guidelines. And it's called Perceivable. The first part, and I've just picked out the ones that apply. There's a lot of stuff that's very web-ish. We're not talking about website design. We're just talking about making regular old files. So non-text content needs to have a text alternative. The reason for that is, let's say that you've got a screen reader and it's going through, and then you've got a picture, and that picture shows a whole bunch of information that isn't in the text. And that's really cool for everybody who can see it. But if you're using a machine reader, it's just going to say, that's an image, and then it's going to keep going. So if you have a photo in any of your resources, if you have a diagram, any kind of image, it needs something called alt text. That alt text will be read by the screen reader. So it'll say, image of a cat leaning against a building or something like that. That would be alt text that describes exactly what that is. Therefore, if you can't see, if you can see, you're going to get the same information. Word and PowerPoint have really easy ways to do this. You just click on the image, if you right click it, you can add the alt text right to it. The AI is starting to be able to generate alt text in Office. It's getting better. Every so often I'll share a picture of my dog and the alt text will say it's a picture of a black and white dog. I'm like, good for you. That's all right. But yeah, be sure to check the actual photos that you are putting in your resources. Make sure they have alt text. Also, make sure that they are adaptable. That's the next thing. Okay. Questions. Do you have advice on how to properly provide alt text for graphs in a science textbook? One of our learning outcomes is for students to interpret graphical information. Okay, so part of this is going to be dependent on your discipline. How does someone who is not sighted interpret graphs or graphical information in science at all? Because you're really looking to have them be successful in that field to a certain degree, right? So you have to design it in such a way that folks who see the graph understand what it is, and folks who don't see the graph also understand what that is. How that works is really going to depend on the graph, I think. It's much more in the domain of the instructor than it is with an accessibility specialist. I would say work with a teaching and learning center if you can on this. Alt text usually has to be somewhat short, maybe 2 to 3 sentences, maybe about the size of a tweet. So it's tough sometimes to describe what's going on in the graph, but based on what you are looking for in your learning outcomes, how do you teach science and the interpretation of graphic data to someone who isn't sighted? I think that's a bigger question, but it is something that is necessary to ask when you're sharing graphic content like that. Sorry, I hope that helps. I don't have an easy answer on that one. So for structured text, this is a way for a machine. Let's say that you had a textbook. You have to go to chapter 16. You start at chapter 1. You've got a screen reader in front of you. The screen reader starts reading chapter 1 and just keeps going. And you have no way to get to chapter 16. You can guess. Jump to page 400. I don't know where I am. Chapter 13, it says. Okay, well, we're in chapter 13. If you don't know what the structure of the text is, if the machines do not understand it, if your Word document doesn't understand it, then you won't be able to jump around. So what you do is you put headings on each of the chapters, and then lower headings on the subchapters, etc. So heading 1s apply to your big chapter. Heading 2s apply to your subchapter. And that's kind of how you do it. We've got a guide that goes through exactly how to do this kind of thing. But in Word, you use the Styles pane, you select heading 1, and there it is. If you don't like how it looks, change the format, right-click on that style thing on the headings again, and say that you want to meet that format, or you want to select that format to be used on that heading. And you're able to then change the format of the heading very easily. Use layouts in PowerPoint. If it says title, put the title there. If it says text, put the text there. If you want a different layout, change the layout. Don't just add a new text box in. That way, PowerPoint knows what it is. It knows what a title is. It knows what the text is. On this page, I started with just a blank old skeleton thing, and I put in WCAG's major guidelines for OER authors, pretty much chapter 1. That's the title. I put in the text over here with this number outline thing, which doesn't quite work because it's 1 and then 1, but whatever, that's how it wound up going. I put that in the text box. And then I let the design pane switch the design of this so that I was able to keep the exact structure that it thinks it is. It's like, here's the title, here's the text. And then it just changed the design by itself. So yeah, 2 of the really easy things to do. The last one is a little harder to do. This is to make sure that things are distinguishable from each other. You want to separate what's in the background from the foreground, or basically have good contrast. So I've got this dark blue over on the left side, right, with the WCAG's major guidelines. I'm not going to do a darker blue for that text because then it would be really, really hard for us to read, let alone anyone who's sitting way back, let alone anyone who has trouble with it. And if you use any kind of color to tell you something, you have to have an alternative to that. So let's say that I had a chapter and I said, I'm going to put everything that is incorrect in red in this activity. You have to fix it. I'm going to put everything that's normal in green. Once you fixed it, put it in green. If you do that, everyone who can't tell the difference between red and green won't have any idea what you're talking about. And it's the same with legends. It's the same with any kind of symbolic stuff that's beyond, here is a shape that indicates that thing. So don't use color as the only way to convey a bit of information. If you have an alternative way, use that, include it. For contrast, I would just use the accessibility checker to make sure that the color contrast is good. I'm not a contrast specialist, and most people are not. Using the checker will allow you to do that. You have to be able to resize the text. Now, that is more a tech thing than it is a you thing. But if you have a Word document as opposed to a PDF document, it's easier to resize that text. So making it, if you make something in Word and you say, well, to be all fancy about this, I'm going to make a PDF version, then I'm going to send the PDF version. And don't do that. Send the Word version first. If you want to make an additional PDF version, that's fine. But do include the Word version. It is a lot more flexible. And don't use images of text. Use text. If you're sharing a meme, for example, a lot of them are images of a quote, and they're in big stylized letters, blah, 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 dash Abraham Lincoln. Don't share those as part of your learning resources unless you've got a way in text that is also typed out. If you put the alt text in there as the quote, that'll be okay. But for the most part, just use text whenever you can if you're going, instead of using a picture of text. Because that is text is readable by a screen reader. Images of text are not readable by a screen reader. So those are the big ones. There are 4 other chapters to this, but most of them have nothing to do with the stuff that you would make in OER, except if you're doing something where you're making software. If you're making software, please do check out the WCAG guidelines. If you're making your own web pages, if you're programming them on your own, if you're not using a content management system that the university is making changes to and is monitoring for accessibility purposes, you will need to look at these other chapters as well to make sure that things like you can navigate everything with a keyboard, because if you have a mouse, not everybody can use a mouse. For input, so if you're going to put something into a form, the input box has to be labeled a certain way. It has to connect to the stuff it has to connect to the form ID. It's real weird. I had to do a little bit of this myself because affordablelearninggeorgia.org had a couple of forms in it. Other stuff in here, things like making sure that the language that's set up is understandable. That's something Microsoft just started doing. When I hit record for the transcript, it said, what language is everyone speaking? I was like, oh, very good. That's exactly what I was just studying. We're speaking English. And so now it understands that we're speaking English. How does it detect errors? How does it report them? If I can't type normally, but I can dictate words, can I send my error report to the IT team? There's lots of cool stuff that goes into these other 4 chapters, but it doesn't usually apply to teaching and learning materials the way that we do them. Now, if you're making an open video game, if you're making a series of videos, please do check this out because there are some interesting things in there that you will need to know about. The last chapter is about like how this all works and how to make an accessibility complaint and what conforms and what doesn't. It's not really that big of a deal unless you're in the legal space of accessibility. You can check it out if you want. And then there's a glossary that defines all of this stuff. So, terminology can get a little nuts. So, you can check it out there too. So yeah, if you develop web content on your own, if you're developing software on your own, then these chapters will apply. If you're making stuff in Word and PowerPoint, not usually a problem at all. So if you're going to do this and you run into an accessibility thing as you're starting to create your resources, where do you go? Well, if you want to see the full guidelines, you're going to have to go right to the consortium's page, the W3 consortium, which agreed on the standards of the web all the way back at Web 1.0. Dr. Wilson says, if we make instructional videos, do the other chapters apply? Check out what those chapters have to say about video content, particularly for AA. Don't worry about the AAA stuff. That requires a lot more accessibility staff to be out there doing some really interesting work. But yeah, check it to make sure that if you're making audio-visual content that you're following those chapters. Yeah. And if you're going to create Word, PowerPoint, if you're going to make stuff with captions, if you're going to put some alt text on photos, we have guides for that. That's the OER Accessibility Series and Rubric. And this was created all the way back in the old era of 2020. But these still apply just fine to meeting 2.1 AA for Word, for PowerPoint, and for your usual videos and captions and your usual alt text stuff. If you run into any problems using these guides, let me know because we will go back and fix those immediately if that's the case. So I've been answering these in line so far, but if there are any other questions, I'd love to open the floor for those. All right, so this is the first time that we've talked about the guidelines, so it's a little bit different on the timing. I'm going to move right forward from here, if that's all right. Nikita, is there anything else that we want to do here?
Nope, not at all. In fact, our quiz questions are placed in the correct order for the slides, so okay. I'm good until we get to the right slide. Yep.
Very cool. All right, let's talk a little bit about the SLAs and the invoices. Some of this is already a review because I've sent out your SLAs and you've already seen them. The project on paper has not started until those SLAs are completely signed. The institution has to sign them. The institution has to send them to us. We send them over to USG. They sign it. We send it back. The project starts. We cannot accept invoices for the project until that SLA is signed by the institution and by us. At that point, we have the account set up here. Before then, we do not. So if folks send in invoices and they need a 30-day turnaround, but they haven't gotten the SLA signed yet, it is very unlikely that those invoices will be paid yet. So be sure that the SLA is signed and then the invoices come in. So what is an invoice? It is a one-page document from your grants or business office. And it's asking us to pay a particular amount that is usually 50% of the award for services in the SLA. And that is it. There's an invoice template at every institution. You do not have to create an invoice. You do not have to send us your weird landscape expense reports from PeopleSoft. That is not something that we deal with. We need the one-page invoice from your institution, and they know how to do it, and they know how to send it to us. So yeah. So who invoices? It's the institution. It's not me. It's not you. The institution invoices us, and then they reference the grant number so that we know exactly what project this is. It should have a unique invoice number to it, and it should have a date. Those are pretty basic things, but they do need to know that. If your institution has a foundation, that is not who we have the agreement with. Georgia Tech has an amazing research foundation. We do not have an SLA with the Georgia Tech Research Foundation. We have an SLA with Georgia Tech. So Georgia Tech has to invoice us not the foundation. There's a couple of places where that sometimes occurs. That's why I have to say that part of it. There are two invoices, right? The initial invoice and the final invoice. So when this SLA is fully signed, the initial invoice gets sent over to us, to me, and also to our admin over here at Galileo, Dina Anderson, who's amazing. She's really, really good with PeopleSoft and works with procurement on this stuff. We send the invoice to accounts payable once it's sent to us. Their processing takes about 1 to 2 weeks. We have to get signatures on our ends, though. So if somebody sends an invoice directly to accounts payable, they're going to send it back to us. They're going to go, hey, what is this? And we're going to have to tell them. And then we're going to finally make the request, get the signatures, and send it back. So you can see where if something gets sent not to me and not to Dina, that process is going to take longer. So please be sure to send it to us. Accounts payable will then send their first payment to the institution. The institution will receive it through an electronic payment. That electronic payment usually comes in from the system office in one thing. However, sometimes the system office lumps all of its electronic payments together and sends them all in one bunch. Every so often we get a thing that says, hey, have we received this payment? And then I'll go, we see in our records that it was sent out on this date. And then they look and they find a system office thing for like $200,000. And it's like, oh, here's X, Y, Z, A1, A2, A3. Like it's a whole bunch of things. And they're like, okay, that's why it's in here. Yeah. So then at the end of the grant project, once the final report has been sent in and it's the deadline, send in the final invoice and we'll pay the final invoice. Yeah. And then it'll be the final payment to the institution. So it's pretty easy on that front, but Nikita's going to give you a little bit of a quiz break here to see if you know a couple of things. So
I
Nikita,
will.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you think we have time though? Do you want me to do both quizzes at the end, just in case we want to make sure we get through it all?
You know what? Good idea. Let's do both at the end. And I just saw a chat come in. After the final report is when you get the remaining 50%. Yes, that is exactly it. So let's talk about the reports a little bit. First of all, the timeline. So there are deadlines that we have every semester for reporting, for any kind of reporting. Summer 2025 is August 11th. Fall 2025 is December 19th. Spring 2026 is May 15th. We try to give you enough time after the semester has ended for you to take care of stuff and then submit this final report. The deadlines are always going to be displayed on the Grantee Information Center page. That page is going to be super duper important for the entirety of your project. Please be sure, if you are a project lead, you need to have that page bookmarked, because whenever you feel like, hey, when is a report due? How do I send it? Where are the templates? It's all there. It's on the Grantee Information Center page. Spring 2026 is a new one that we are adding in very shortly, and that's that May 15th one. Your deadline for your project is always on your SLA. So if you look at the SLA, that first page that describes everything, the deadline is there. It's going to show you the last semester and the deadline date. Yeah, we'll also email this link out to the Grantee Information Center page later. I'm going to explain a little bit about how these reports work. So if you have a transformation grant, a big project, has a lot of meetings, a lot of convening, a lot of making sure that everybody's on the same page, you're going to be submitting a report each semester to check in on how things are going. It's an online Google form. It includes some multiple choice questions and short paragraph questions. It's especially asking whether or not your project is on track and if you have any critical questions. That link, of course, is always on the Grantee Information Center page. It asks some basic information about you and your team, the status of all of the work that you've done, any changes in personnel, any changes in how the impact is going to affect students, and of course, any other questions. The final report is for all projects. So we just talked about something that the transformation grants folks have to do. The transformation grant folks also have to submit a final report, and everybody does. This is submitted at the end of the final semester of your project. It's always available, again, from the Grantee Information Center page, everything from the template to the submission form. It is one survey, and it's got pathways if you have a transformation grant, continuous improvement grant, or a research grant. It'll direct you. So for the Grantee Information Center stuff that we have, there's 5 items that you need for transformation grants. You need your Word document. That's your final report. You want to do that first, the Word document, so that you have your entire narrative ready to go. All of your data, you can use a zip folder for that. If you've got an Excel file and a PDF, you can use it all in one zip. Have your syllabi ready. Same here. A zip file is easy. You could also just put them all together in one PDF, but I'm going to have to separate them anyway into a zip at some point. You can optionally send a photo of your team or class that we could then share for promotional purposes if you would like. And if you can send the second invoice in, that's great. Send it in. Many institutions will say, we need you to submit the final report first and confirm that, and then we'll send the invoice. That's usually how it works. So just make sure that the invoice gets sent in afterward. For continuous improvement and also for research grants, you're going to have a Word document that gives your final report. And if you have any materials that are linked in that document, then that's it. If you have any materials that are not linked, then you're going to have to share them somehow. So if you have a small file size, you can just put them into the form itself, something like 10 megabytes or smaller. That's pretty small. You can put that all in one zip and send it over. But if that doesn't work, you can put it into a Google folder or a Dropbox folder or your campus webpage, link us to it. You can attach them in an email and send it over. Of course, emails have their own file size limit. So yeah, if you've got an open textbook and it's a little bit too big and that's part of your report, then yeah, you can send it over that way and that's not going to be a problem. The method, like it says here, it doesn't matter so much. We're going to host it after that. So again, here's just a workflow for it, everything. Do you have a transformation grant? If you do, at the end of each semester deadline, not this May, because you're just getting started, so you're not going to have to submit a spring 2025 thing. If it's not your final semester, you would submit a semester status report. So summer is that first semester for you. If it's your final semester, at the end of it, you submit your final report. You don't have to submit another semester status report. We're not going to ask you how it's going and then have your final report. We know how it's going. You have your final report. If you have a continuous improvement or research grant, at the end of each semester deadline, if it's not your final semester, nothing is needed. You do not need to do the semester reports. If it is your final semester, that's when you submit your final report and, of course, your materials. All the semester deadlines are in the Grantee Information Center, and your deadline for your project is in your SLA. So just another quick reminder of this timeline. August 11th is the summer deadline. December 19th is the fall deadline. Spring 2026, which is going up on the Grantee Information Center page, it's not there yet, is May 15th, 2026. These are going to be on the Grantee Information Center page for the entire course of your project. And your own deadline is going to be on your SLA. So be sure to keep a copy of that and to bookmark the Grantee Information Center page. All right, a little bit about communications before we head to the quizzes. When you email us, be sure to include your grant number. Your grant number is not the thing that Kennesaw State or Georgia State gives you. That's like 5 numbers and then dash and another number. That's not it. It's the one that was on your notification email. So for example, your transformation grant would be a 3-digit number like 758. Your continuous improvement grant is M plus a 3-digit number. That's because these used to be called mini grants. So M203. RG, that is your research grants. So it's RG in 3 digits, RG 017, etc. Now, we know that you have a name, not a number, of course. But folks in here even are on multiple projects that have spanned years and years and years. We can go back all the way to the first round and see Julie Lester's name. So one name might be connected to more than one project. So if you're like, hey, I have this question about my grant, and you have 5 grants that are currently happening, and you're on the team for a whole bunch of them, it would be very tough for us to find the one you're talking about unless you have your grant number. Course numbers are also tough to search for. Course titles are tough to search for. Just referencing your grant number is so much easier. We're going to add you to the ALG Grantees listserv. This is mostly for announcements and for opportunities. Like if we find a research opportunity that our grantees would especially benefit from, we'll share it there too. We'll put in brackets who it's for. So if we say that something's just for round 28 grantees, it's not going to apply to you. So if a deadline changes for round 28 grantees, you're like, wait a minute, I'm not a round 28 grantee. You're all on one list. Just check the brackets on the subject heading and you'll know who it's for. If you have any personal questions, let us know. If you email the listserv, it's not really going to work. People used to be able to email the listserv about anything, and they would say, hey, I have this huge personal issue, and here's what happened, and then they find out too late that they've posted it to every grantee in our program. So we just don't do that anymore. Just email us, me and Nikita. The midpoint check-in meeting is going to be really important because it's a way for us to recollect our ideas, reconvene, regroup, and see what a successful project looks like halfway through. It's really neat. We usually have a panel of folks who have been through this before to talk about what it looks like in the second half. So bring the questions and concerns you've gathered on the way and show off what your team has done. So now I'm going to do the actual quiz break here. Nikita is going to run through a few things to see how you did on all of this information. So I'm going to go to these polls to see if it worked. Nope,
Actually,
it did not.
Well, mine did. And so let's go ahead and give it a quick try. But while I'm doing that, everyone, please just take a moment. I'm going to launch a quiz for you. It's 3 questions. But take a moment and think about questions you have about everything we've talked about so far. And we will interrupt this quiz to answer your questions. But I did put the quiz in. If you have a question, skip the quiz and ask it in chat or either unmute and do so. But if you wouldn't mind going ahead and answering the quiz, it's 3 questions you'd advance through and we can see your results as we go through. And I'll just give you about 30 seconds for that. So let's see how everyone is doing. Okay. All right, so it looks like we've got quite a few people who understood what the answer is, and that is indeed that it is the grant number, and everyone got that correct so far. We got about 15 responses. We'll move on to question 2 because I do want to make sure we have time for questions. And so now that the project is, your SLA is fully executed, your grants or business office should indeed send the first of 2 invoices for half of the award amount. We had a couple of responses where people thought maybe you should send an invoice for the full amount. And Jeff, if you could explain why that is not something that we can accept.
Yeah. So grants throughout the USG, including the old incubator grants and STEM grants and stuff like that, they tend to all do the same thing. They ask for 50% when the agreement is fully signed. And then at the end, there's the last 50%. That's to ensure that the work gets done, and then the rest of it is awarded after that. Oh, okay. Dr. Wilson cannot see a link for the quiz. Oh, okay. Yeah, Teams is having some weird issues. Sorry about that. But we're just discussing 3 questions here, so you should be able to take away the same info.
Indeed, it's really for engagement and just to remind us of some of the key points from the presentation. And our third question on this one was finding your grant number on where? Everyone that responded got that correct, and that is on your SLA. So your grant number can be found, almost any information or question you have about your grant is going to be found on your SLA. You can also get your grant number on your awards email, but when in doubt, always go to the SLA and you will find in that answer. We'll go ahead and close this quiz. We have one more, it's just 3 more questions. And Anastasia, I'm sorry, you may not be able to see this one as well. And we have just a minute or 2 left here in the presentation. See if you can answer these as well. So we've got 3 questions here. The semester status reports due when? Our final report templates and submission instructions are found where? And the third question, the final report deadlines are. So we'll give you just a moment or two to do that, and we'll check the results here, see how everybody's doing. Very, very good, very good. So we've got just about half of the responses in for the first question. I'm going to push along just because we're just about out of time here. Semester status reports are due for transformation grants only, those transformation grant projects only. So just remember that the transformation grants require a status report every semester, but that the continuous improvement and research grants only require the final report. So we had a couple that had missed that one. The second question in this series, final report templates and submission instructions are, yes, located in the Grantee Information Center page on the ALG website. Everyone who responded got that correct. Bookmark that website, the Grantee Information Center. You'll find one of all information you're looking for will be on one and two places, the SLA or the Grantee Information Center. And the final and third question, everyone else got that one right, that the final report deadlines are, yes, available in the Grantee Information Center on the website. And of course, you can always email Jeff and I directly for any questions. And sorry we had to kind of rush through the quiz part, but we just wanted to make sure we kind of engaged you with that. Thank you, everybody, for participating. It's right at 3 p.m., but hopefully we have just a moment for questions just in case. So if there are any questions, please do make that known now, or of course you can reach out to us after the presentation today. We've got one. Go ahead,
Yes.
Candace.
I have a quick question just about the invoicing. So if we have money set aside for like purchasing permanent licenses for online books, do we get that full amount to access that? And then the salaries would be the half and half?
Okay, so you would want to talk to your institution on this. Institutions could do this in different ways. Sometimes what they'll do is run a line of credit for the entire project. And in that case, they'll make the funds available and then they will get half of them at the beginning and get half at the end. Of course, the tough thing is that if something ends prematurely, well, then you have to figure out what happened. This doesn't usually happen in our grant programs. Most people complete their projects, even if they have to delay it a little bit. But there have been some projects where we have had project leads pass away in the middle of things. And so it can be a bit risky to run a line of credit. You'll have to see with your grants or business office exactly how that gets worked out. They usually have an answer for it.
Thank you. And just to reiterate, as Jeff has mentioned, your grants and business office, because this can happen separately and differently at each individual school, they usually have control over how those funds are dispersed. Christine?
So mine is about the midpoint check-in. Our final semester is fall 2025, but that midpoint check-in is January 2026. So are we still expected to attend it anyway?
No, I think you may be the only project in this round that is ending one semester early. In that case, you would not be attending the midpoint meeting because
okay.
Unless you feel like knowing what the midpoint of a different project feels like.
Okay, thank you.
But yes, we might move the date for this back a little bit, the January 2nd date. We may need to move it to a date that's not Friday, unfortunately, in order to do this, because there are multiple meetings that happen at the beginning of January, as I'm sure you're aware, because so many things are getting kicked off as the spring semester kicks off. But
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll figure that out. Sounds good.
Yeah. All right, you want to advance to the next slide, Jeff, just so we can have our contact information up.
Yep.
As we entertain any other questions, of course.
So thanks so much. And I would like for these to appear. Apparently it pushed an animation on me. That's new. But yeah, these are our email addresses. We cannot wait to see what happens next with these projects, just as the slide itself says. And we're here. If you have any questions for us, please do send us an email. and we'll work with you on that. Yeah, thanks so much for being here, and I loved hearing about all your projects. It's going to be a very good year for these in round 27.
Indeed.
Thanks so
Thank you,
much.
everyone.